Hello, friend, and welcome to the Sleepy Meteorologist. Tonight, we're drifting into a gentle mystery of the sky, a rare moment when the atmosphere shifts into an eerie, luminous green, just before a storm begins to stir. It's a color that whispers of quiet power, of nature holding its breath. And tonight, we'll explore that moment together. Maybe your day was a blur of noise and movement, or maybe it passed like a slow breeze. Perhaps you glimpsed clouds rolling past your window, soft or heavy, calm or ominous, and wondered where they were going, or what they might become. How's the sky looking where you are? If you're here, it's a sign you're ready to let go, to give yourself this time to unwind. And if you enjoy these calming meteorological journeys, feel free to like or subscribe. It helps other sleepy travelers find their way here too. For now, you can settle in. Nestle under the covers. Let the muscles in your face soften. Your shoulders grow heavy. You're safe. You're here. Let's drift gently into our journey. Let's begin. Hello, dear listener, and welcome. Tonight, we begin with a gentle glance upward, toward a familiar friend, the sky. Have you ever wondered why the sky is blue? It's a question many ask in passing, a child's curiosity, or a fleeting thought while staring out a window. But tonight, we won't chase the answer. We'll float toward it, softly. The sky is not truly blue, of course. The air above us holds no color of its own. It is, in essence, invisible, a delicate mix of gases we breathe without thinking, a protective veil that cradles the earth. And yet, most days, when we look up, we see blue, a calm blue, like the hush of morning, or the hush just before sleep. This happens because of light. Sunlight, to be specific, a blend of all the colors you can imagine, reds and oranges, indigos and violets, all flowing together in a silent symphony, waiting to be scattered. As the sun's light enters Earth's atmosphere, it meets a world of tiny things, molecules of oxygen and nitrogen, minute particles of dust or sea salt, even the invisible currents of air moving quietly from place to place. These particles are not obstacles. They are gentle guides. They help bend the light, shift it, scatter it, sending it in all directions. And among the many colors of light, blue is the one that scatters most easily. Its waves are short and small, just the right shape to dance across the molecules in the air. So, the sky appears blue, not because blue is dominant, but because blue is the most willing to wander. Isn't that a lovely thought? Of course, the sky does not stay blue forever. As the sun begins to set, its light must travel a longer path through the atmosphere. The blues scatter away, and the reds, deeper and slower, begin to emerge. Sunsets become paintings. Warm, sleepy hues wrap around the horizon like a soft blanket, welcoming the quiet of evening and, sometimes, after storms or long summer days, the sky may blush purple, or grow pale gold, or deepen into a velvet navy as night takes its turn. All of this shifting palette, comes from the quiet science of scattering and the subtle presence of particles. No engines, no thunder, just light and air and the soft laws of nature. As you lie back tonight, you can imagine yourself drifting through that atmosphere, floating between air molecules, watching the rays of sunlight break apart like slow-motion whispers. There is no hurry here, no pressure to learn or to remember, only the comfort of knowing the sky has always been above you, and always will be. It is the stage upon which all weather plays, from the smallest breeze to the fiercest storm. And every chapter will explore begins right here, in the colour of the sky. Let's drift onward. Tonight, we float a little deeper, into the invisible dance between light and air, a phenomenon known as scattering. It begins with the sun, a quiet star 93 million miles away, sending out rays of light across the vastness of space. To us, that light seems simple, bright, white, and warm, but hidden within it are all the colours of the visible spectrum, woven together in harmony. As this light reaches Earth, it does not move in a straight line forever. Instead, it meets our atmosphere, and here the magic begins. When sunlight interacts with air molecules, especially the tiny ones like oxygen and nitrogen, it scatters. This means that instead of continuing straight, the light bounces. It bends. It spreads in many directions, like ripples on water. This process has a name, Rayleigh scattering, named after the English scientist Lord Rayleigh, who first described it in the 19th century. Rayleigh scattering doesn't treat all colours equally. It favours the blues and violets, shorter wavelengths, smaller and quicker. These are the colours most easily scattered across the sky. But why, then, do we see a blue sky and not violet? The answer lies in our eyes. Human vision is more sensitive to blue than to violet, and some violet light is absorbed by the upper atmosphere before it ever reaches us. So, the sky takes on a soft blue hue, gentle, familiar, and endlessly wide. At sunrise and sunset, the story changes. Light travels farther through the atmosphere, passing through thicker layers of air. The shorter blue wavelengths scatter away completely, and longer reds and oranges remain. That's when the sky ignites in colours that feel almost tender. Rose, amber, tangerine, crimson. Sometimes, under very particular conditions, the scattering shifts again, and in the presence of storm clouds and setting sun, something rare happens. A green hue, soft, strange, and fleeting, may appear. We'll explore that phenomenon more soon, but for now, just know, the colour green, though rare, is part of this family, a cousin in the spectrum, waiting for the right mood, the right angle, the right time of day to be seen, light, air, and the delicate choreography between them. It is this dance that paints our sky, moment by moment. So, as you rest, let your mind wander through the atmosphere. Imagine the photons of sunlight, tiny parcels of energy, moving through the air and meeting molecules like dancers at a quiet ball. There's no rush, only rhythm, only colour. And within that slow scattering, a story is told. Let's keep floating. Welcome back, dear listener. As we continue our soft journey through the skies, we meet a new kind of scattering, one with a slightly different rhythm, a gentler swirl, a broader step in the dance between light and matter. It's called my scattering, where Rayleigh scattering dances with the tiniest particles, the whisper-sized molecules of oxygen and nitrogen. My scattering enters the stage when larger guests arrive. Think of water droplets, fine dust, sea salt drifting in from the ocean, or pollen floating lazily on springtime air. These particles are bigger, not large in any dramatic sense, but enough to change how sunlight bends around them. They're like quiet stagehands in a vast sky theatre, altering the way we see light, without ever asking for attention. When me scattering occurs, light behaves differently. Instead of scattering in all directions, like with Rayleigh scattering, it begins to scatter forward, more focused, more muted. The colours don't separate so freely. Instead, they blend into softer, whiter tones. This is why clouds, which are made of tiny water droplets, appear white or grey, even though they're surrounded by blue sky. The droplets scatter all the wavelengths of light equally, mixing them into a pale glow. Sometimes, this scattering takes on a magical quality. In the late afternoon, when the sun is low and the air is heavy with humidity or dust, you may notice the light shifting. It grows creamy, warm, even slightly golden or milky in tone. And in rare, special moments, as a storm is quietly preparing itself, something else begins to happen. Those same water droplets and dust particles, suspended in the air before the rain falls, begin to scatter light in complex ways. They may mingle with rays of sunlight slipping in at just the right angle, and colour begins to change. A subtle yellow might appear, or a muted copper. And in certain conditions, when the light filters just so through thickening clouds, the sky may take on an unearthly green hue. This isn't the bright green of grass, nor the vivid green of spring buds. It's subdued, watery, like light filtered through sea glass. Scientists believe this rare green tint may result from me scattering combined with the towering presence of thunderclouds, thick with rain, wide enough to catch the light, and heavy with potential. But we must be gentle with our thoughts here. This isn't a sign to worry or to watch. It's a moment to observe with quiet wonder. Even nature's most complex dances can be appreciated slowly, with breath and stillness. So, as you breathe in and out, imagine drifting through a cloud, a place where droplets hang suspended like tiny lanterns, where dust floats like forgotten wishes, and light weaves around it all with soft, circular grace. That's the magic of me scattering, not a spectacle, but a hush, a moment when the sky becomes velvet soft, touched by particles too small to see, yet big enough to paint the world anew. Let's keep drifting toward the clouds. Tonight, we rise, ever so gently, into the world of storm clouds. These aren't the sleepy wisps of morning fog or the quiet drifters of a spring afternoon. These are the cumulonimbus clouds, tall, vast, layered in shadow and light, the mountains of the sky. Cumulonimbus means heap cloud and rain cloud combined. And they are just that, heaps of vapour piled high into the troposphere, sometimes stretching more than 10 miles tall. They are the stage upon which some of nature's most dramatic weather unfolds. But tonight, we visit them for a different reason, for their colour. As sunlight approaches these towers of vapour, it doesn't always pass through them. Sometimes it glances off the sides, catching just the right angle at just the right hour. It's here, in the angles, that something extraordinary happens. The towering walls of the cloud become screens, filtering sunlight, scattering it in layered tones. Shadowed blues at the base, silvery whites around the crown, and sometimes a haunting, almost surreal green radiating through the centre. This green is not always present. It's rare, fleeting, but when it arrives, it's unmistakable. Soft, ethereal, a quiet echo of light meeting moisture, thickness, and altitude in the perfect blend. Some scientists believe the green hue occurs when reddish sunlight, common in late afternoon, filters through water-laden clouds, so thick they glow from within. Others suggest it has to do with how our eyes interpret the mixed colours of blue-grey cloud and amber light, merging into green like a watercolour wash. But whatever the cause, the effect is mesmerising. From the ground, these green-lit clouds look almost dreamlike, like a distant sea caught in the sky, a vast painting in motion, framed by shifting winds and the curvature of the earth. If you've ever seen them, you might remember how everything felt hushed. Birds quiet, leaves still, a sense that the world was holding its breath, not in fear, but in awe. We do not need to worry here. We do not chase storms. We observe from a distance, wrapped in calm. So, as you rest, imagine floating at the edge of a great cloud, watching sunlight slide down its side like honey, feeling the temperature shift, hearing only the slow, steady heartbeat of the wind. Storm clouds are not just weather. They are cathedrals of vapor and light. And within them, the color green is not a warning. It is a reminder that the sky is always painting, even when we aren't looking. Let's rest here a little longer, and then drift onward. Welcome back, gentle dreamer. Tonight, we continue into the storm, not with haste, but with curiosity, and not into thunder or flash, but into the subtle signs the sky offers when something cold is suspended above. Let's speak of hail and the quiet green skies that sometimes accompany it. When we look up and see a green tint bathing the clouds, there may be more than light and color at play. There may also be ice, not falling yet, but floating, hidden within the thick belly of a storm. This connection between green skies and hail is known among meteorologists, but it is not a rule. It is a whisper, a suggestion, a pattern the sky shares only when it wishes. Hail begins its life high inside a cumulonimbus cloud, where the air is cold and restless. Updrafts, strong currents of rising air, carry water droplets upward, where temperatures fall below freezing. There, the droplets latch onto tiny ice crystals and begin to freeze. As they're lifted and dropped, again and again, more layers of ice form, like rings inside a tree. Eventually, the hailstones grow too heavy for the updraft to hold, and they fall. But before they do, they sit, suspended, clustered together in icy stillness, silently shaping the light within the cloud. Water and ice have fascinating effects on light. They don't just reflect it, they absorb and scatter it, sometimes shifting it toward green under just the right circumstances. When a storm is rich in suspended hailstones, and the sun's rays arrive at the perfect angle, perhaps during late afternoon or just before dusk, the cloud may appear to glow with that soft, aquatic green. It's not a promise of hail, but rather a gentle sign that something frozen may be dwelling within. A hidden world of ice, quietly waiting. There's a kind of reverence to it, a frozen hush in the heart of the storm. If you've ever been outside under a green-tinted sky, you might recall how the light feels different, not threatening, not loud, just still, as if time has slowed and the clouds are thinking. So, as you lie back tonight, let your imagination drift upward, not into a roaring storm, but into the quiet center of it, where hailstones spin slowly in the cold, where light filters through layers of vapor and ice, and where color is not loud but luminous. The green sky isn't shouting, it's murmuring, it's telling a story about temperature and moisture and time, and we are simply listening. Let yourself rest here, at the edge of the storm's icy core, cradled by color, rocked by wind, and surrounded by the slow breath of the atmosphere. Soon we'll drift onward, but for now, we float. Welcome back, dear listener. Let's continue our gentle journey, drifting now toward a quiet detail that changes everything. Not the storm itself, but the light behind it. Because sometimes the sky doesn't change color simply because the clouds are different. Sometimes it changes because the sun has moved, lower, softer, and more angled than before. The sun's position is one of the most important parts of this story. During midday, sunlight comes from high above. It pours downward in a bright, direct stream, washing the world in clarity. Clouds may look white and towering then, sharply outlined against a deep blue sky. But as the day begins to settle, as afternoon stretches out and the sun drifts closer to the horizon, light changes its behavior. It becomes warmer, more golden, and it begins traveling through more of Earth's atmosphere before it reaches our eyes. This longer journey matters. Along the way, shorter wavelengths of light, the blues and violets, scatter away more easily. The reds and oranges keep going, more stubborn, more steady. And that means the sunlight arriving near evening is often richer in warm tones, like honey poured slowly into the air. Now, imagine a storm cloud rising into that glowing light. A cumulonimbus cloud, tall and thick, gathering moisture and rising layer by layer. From afar, it may appear grey or blue-black, but inside it is full of depth. A cathedral made of vapour, droplets, and ice. And behind it, the sun. When sunlight shines from behind the storm, we call it backlighting. It's gentle, almost cinematic, like a lantern held behind frosted glass. The cloud becomes a filter, not a curtain, but a lens. Instead of light striking the cloud from the front and bouncing back, it passes through portions of the storm, slipping through rain curtains, humid air, and drifting veils of moisture. In those moments, the storm doesn't look flat. It looks alive. Soft beams may appear, stretching outward like quiet pathways through the air. The edges of the cloud may glow faintly, and in some rare cases, the storm begins to take on a strange tint, a greenish hue. This green isn't created out of nowhere. It's built from layers of physics and perception, stacked carefully on top of one another. Warm sunlight enters the cloud. Within the cloud, water, droplets, and ice particles scatter and absorb parts of the spectrum. The thicker the storm, the more light is filtered, and depending on the angle, the thickness, and the moisture content, the remaining light can shift toward green. It's delicate, almost shy. It might only appear for a moment, like the sky holding a secret between breaths. Sometimes the green looks strongest near the base of the cloud, where rainfall is heaviest and the cloud's body is most dense. Sometimes it appears in a band along the horizon, where the last light of day meets the storm's shadow. And all of it depends on where the sun is, how low it sits, how far it must travel, how softly it slips behind the cloud. So tonight, as you rest, imagine yourself far away from the storm, safe and still, watching from a peaceful distance. Picture the sun low in the west, glowing orange and calm. Picture a tall storm cloud in the distance, heavy with quiet weather, yet painted with gentle light. And then, the faintest green, not loud, not sharp, just a soft wash of colour that reminds us the atmosphere is always shaping what we see. A slow conversation between sunlight and storm. And we are simply here to listen. Let's drift onward. Now, dear listener, we float deeper into something simple and endlessly beautiful. Water and light. Not rushing water, not crashing waves. Just the quiet water held in the sky, suspended, weightless, drifting. Clouds are made of water, but not in the way we usually picture it. They aren't made of raindrops, not at first. Most clouds are built from countless tiny droplets, so small they can float on the gentlest currents. Each droplet is like a little lens, a soft bead of reflection, a whisper of liquid light. And when sunlight touches these droplets, something remarkable happens. Water doesn't just sit there in the sky. It interacts. It transforms the light passing through it. Some light is reflected, some is absorbed, some is scattered into new directions, like a slow spill of colour across the air. This is why clouds can look so different from one moment to the next. A thin cloud might look bright and white, glowing gently because the droplets scatter light broadly, mixing all colours together. A thicker cloud might turn grey because less light passes through and more is absorbed in its deeper layers. And when storms rise, full of water, rich with depth, the cloud becomes something else entirely. A painter, a storm cloud holds water in many forms. Liquid droplets, invisible vapour, and sometimes tiny ice crystals tucked into the cold upper reaches. When sunlight meets that mixture, especially at an angle, the result can be complex, like layered brush strokes. Some of the warm tones may filter through and mix with the cooler shades already present in the cloud. Blues and greys blend with amber and gold. And sometimes, in the right balance, the eye interprets the outcome as green. This is part science and part perception, because our eyes don't read the sky like a machine. They read it like a story. We compare colours to the world around us. We notice contrast. We sense shifts. And when a storm cloud is heavy and blue-grey, and the sunlight behind it is warm and golden, our minds may blend the two into something rare. A watery green. It can feel dreamlike, like the sky has become an ocean overhead. And perhaps, in a quiet way, it has. Inside a storm cloud, water droplets gather and collide. Some grow heavy and fall as rain. Others are lifted again by gentle or powerful updrafts, cycling through different temperatures. The storm is a moving system, a slow engine of moisture and air. But the green sky, that happens at the surface of what we see. It is a visual signature of water's influence on light, a reminder that the atmosphere is not empty. It is full of tiny drifting things, moisture, particles, droplets, shaping the sunlight long before it reaches our eyes. So tonight, you can picture it like this. The sky is a canvas, sunlight is the paint, water is the brush, and the stroke is never the same twice. Some evenings the brush is soft and pale, painting silver clouds. Other evenings it turns golden and warm, painting sunset skies. And on rare, gentle nights near an approaching storm, the brush dips into a muted shade of green. Not bright, not sharp, just quiet colour, suspended like a lullaby. As you rest, allow that image to settle in your mind. A painter in the sky, working in slow motion. A masterpiece created without effort, without sound, without urgency, only water and light, and the calm, steady breath of the atmosphere. We'll keep drifting soon, but for now, let the sky paint you towards sleep. Hello again, gentle traveller. Tonight, we float beneath one of the most magnificent and quietly complex structures the sky can create, the supercell. Even the name feels large, but we will not rush. There's no need to worry or hurry here. We observe from stillness. We rest beneath the cloud. Supercells are a type of thunderstorm, but they're not ordinary ones. They're rare, they're vast, and they rotate. At the heart of every supercell is something called a mesocyclone, a large, slow-spinning column of air, like a wide and gentle spiral that lifts the storm into the atmosphere and holds it upright, like a skybound sculpture. They often form when warm, moist air rises into colder, drier air above. And as the winds shift at different heights, the air begins to rotate, softly at first, then more steadily, more powerfully. The result is a storm that can grow as tall as a mountain, with layers and towers, walls and vaults of vapor, and a mood all its own. But even more intriguing is this. Supercells are the storms most often cloaked in green. Not always, but more than any other kind of weather system, supercells are known for carrying that soft, sea glass hue within their walls. Why? It comes down to height, to water, to sunlight, and to the unique way these storms hold all those things together. Supercells tend to be taller than most storms, rising deep into the atmosphere, where ice crystals can form high above the rain-soaked layers below. That layered structure is important. High up, there may be frozen moisture, hail, suspended by strong updrafts. Lower down, dense rain curtains swirl through the storm. And throughout it all, light is trying to pass through. When sunlight shines into the side or back of a supercell, especially in the late afternoon, it may travel through these many layers, through rain and hail, through ice and mist, until it emerges coloured and filtered in green. This isn't a vibrant green. It's not glowing or electric. It's a muted green, brushed over the storm's base like watercolour. Some meteorologists believe the presence of large hail is a key reason for this tint. The hailstones act as thick, translucent filters, bending the reddish sunlight until only certain wavelengths remain. What our eyes perceive is a subtle, softened green, born from depth, moisture, and angle. It is not a warning in the sense of danger, but it is a signal, a quiet signature that says, this storm holds something rare, something powerful, something layered and deep. From a safe distance, a supercell is not threatening. It is beautiful, majestic, a slow-moving sculpture of air and water, light and motion, and the green tint is like a whisper, a quiet emerald sigh. So tonight, you can imagine reclining far below one of these mighty clouds, watching its layers shift and turn. Its edges catch the last light of the sun, its base gently shaded in a dreamy, jade-toned veil. No thunder here, no wind, just the architecture of nature, resting in the sky. We float and observe and wonder, and soon we drift onward. Welcome, friend. Tonight, we explore a question whispered between the clouds, a quiet puzzle carried on gentle winds. Why don't all storms turn green? If moisture and light and clouds exist all around us, if rain falls and hail forms in countless places, why is the green sky still such a rare sight? The answer, like many things in nature, is layered. It's not one reason, but many. To create a green-tinted sky, a very delicate recipe must be followed. Not strict, but precise in its own quiet way. First, you need a tall storm, not a shallow one. A storm whose top stretches high into the atmosphere, holding frozen particles near its crown and rain near its base. Not all clouds grow that way. Many are flat, low, soft, like blankets rather than towers. Then there's the sun. Its position must be just right, not overhead, but low in the sky. Early evening or late afternoon. That's when light travels the farthest through Earth's atmosphere, becoming golden and warm, perfect for painting clouds in unusual ways. The sunlight must also hit the storm from the right angle, ideally from behind or from the side. This backlighting lets the light pass through the thick parts of the storm instead of bouncing off the front. Only then can it interact with the storm's internal structure, with water, ice, and suspended hail. Next, we need moisture, and not just a little. the storm must hold a generous mix of liquid and ice. Not every storm is rich in hail or thick rain bands. Many storms rain quickly and move on. But those that linger, that build, that hold moisture in their bellies, they become the perfect canvas. Finally, there's the atmosphere itself, the presence of dust, humidity, and particles that can subtly influence how light travels and how colors are perceived. If even one of these ingredients is missing, the green may never appear. Instead, the storm might glow orange at sunset, or turn a deep, smoky grey, or flash brilliant white with its silver-edged clouds. And all of these are beautiful too. But the green, the soft, muted green that seems to whisper through the sky, that only appears when nature's choreography is complete. It's a reminder of how rare harmony is, how much has to come together for something so subtle to appear. So tonight, as you rest, you might imagine the world storms as dancers on a wide stage, each one moving to its own rhythm. Some spin low with flashes of lightning, some drift slowly with soft rain, and some, just a few, step into the light at just the right moment and turn a soft, secret green. Not because they are trying, but because everything came together, just once. That's why not all storms turn green, and that's why, when they do, it feels like a gift, a quiet note from the sky, a colour born from complexity, and a moment held between weather and wonder. We drift now, knowing the sky holds many shades, and each one carries a story. Let's rest a while, then gently continue. Welcome back, dear listener. Tonight, we rise, not in haste, but in quiet wonder, into the cool upper chambers of a thundercloud. Here, we find something unexpected, not lightning, not thunder, but stillness. And within that stillness, hail. It may surprise you to think of hail as still. We often imagine it as movement, falling, bouncing, breaking apart on rooftops. But before it ever reaches the ground, hail lives in the sky, held there, lifted, suspended. Let's drift upward together now, up into the lofty body of a cumulonimbus cloud, the kind that climbs deep into the atmosphere like a mountain of moisture. Inside, the air is not calm, but it moves with a rhythm, like ocean currents below the surface. Warm air rises quickly, a powerful updraft, carrying droplets of water high into the colder regions above. Here, the temperature falls, and the droplets freeze. Tiny crystals begin to form, small at first. Then, as more water collects and freezes onto them, they grow, ring by ring, into smooth, glassy spheres. These are hailstones, but rather than falling right away, the updraft lifts them again. They're caught, held, like snow globes in midair. Again they rise, again they freeze. And as they swirl through the heart of the cloud, they polish themselves on layers of ice. The atmosphere becomes a ballroom, and the hailstones, the slow spinning dancers. Their surfaces, frozen and clear, begin to interact with the light that filters through the storm. Sunlight, warm and angled, slips into the sides of the cloud. It enters carefully, brushing through curtains of rain, bouncing off suspended hailstones. And here, something subtle happens. The hailstones, now clustered in stillness within the storm's center, scatter the light in new directions. Some wavelengths are absorbed, others are bent, and the remaining light, altered by its journey, emerges tinted in a delicate, glassy green. It's not the color of emeralds. It's not a vivid green. It's softer, more aquatic, like sunlight filtered through deep water. Some scientists believe that the suspended hail plays a crucial role in this phenomenon, not because it glows on its own, but because its frozen clarity alters the behavior of light within the storm. And when many hailstones gather together, layer upon layer, hanging in the heart of a towering cloud, they become a quiet reflector. Together, they paint the underside of the storm. So tonight, imagine yourself floating there, not in the storm's violence, but in its stillness, among the hailstones, each one round and smooth, silent, suspended, like tiny frozen lanterns catching what little light remains. There's no noise here, only breath, only the slow turning of the atmosphere, and the soft echo of sunlight, filtered through ice and rain. Hail, so often thought of as heavy and sudden, is up here gentle, light enough to float, elegant in its quiet form. So, as you rest, let yourself imagine being held there too, by the wind, by the balance of air currents, by the storm's own careful breath. You are not falling, you are suspended, you are safe, and the colour all around you is soft green, not as a signal, but as a glow, a message from water, air, and light, blending into beauty. Let's stay here a while longer, and then drift down again. Tonight, we turn our gaze not just toward the sky, but inward, because sometimes the weather doesn't just shape the world above us, it stirs something quietly within. Have you ever looked up, seen a greenish tint in the clouds, and felt a strange sense of unease? You're not alone. Even when the world around you is calm, the appearance of a green sky can feel unfamiliar, otherworldly, as if something is slightly off. Tonight, we gently explore why. It begins with the psychology of colour, how our minds respond to certain hues, especially in unexpected places. Green, on its own, is not a frightening colour. It's the colour of forests, of moss, of springtime growth. We see it in plants, in still ponds, in soft fields after rain. But the sky, to us, is rarely green. Our brains are trained by pattern, repetition, familiarity, comfort. We expect the sky to be blue, or grey, or golden at sunset. Even a dramatic orange or pink at dusk feels safe. It fits the script we've come to know. But green belongs below the horizon, in leaves, in lakes, in meadows. So when it appears above us, we feel a dissonance, a gentle confusion, like a song playing slightly out of tune. This doesn't mean danger is near. It simply means we're witnessing something rare. And rarity always wakes something deeper in us. A question, perhaps, or a moment of stillness. Some believe that we've evolved to notice green skies because, in a few cases, they've been connected with large storms. But the sky isn't warning us. It's not speaking in alarms. It's simply painting with a palette we don't often see. What we interpret as unsettling may actually be awe, a softness of the mind when it meets the unfamiliar. The sky, for a moment, feels surreal, and we pause. That pause is not fear. It's wonder in disguise. So tonight, as you settle into sleep, allow yourself to revisit that colour in your memory. A sky not blue, not grey, but washed in a shade you didn't expect. See how the clouds held it gently, not glowing, but breathing with it. See how the light filtered through mist and hail, and created something so new your eyes didn't know where to place it. And now, know that you're safe. It's only light, only water, only the softest kind of science, writing poetry on the sky. The colour green is neither good nor bad. It's a result, a quiet collision of sunlight, moisture, and time. A moment when all things lined up to create a hue outside the usual. Rhythm. It's not meant to startle you. It's meant to move you, to remind you that the sky is still full of surprises, and that beauty often lives just beyond our expectations. So rest, dear listener. Let the colours come and go. They will change and return again, and always find their place above you. The sky is not unsettling, it's unfamiliar, and sometimes the unfamiliar is a gift. Let's drift forward soon, but for now, we rest in soft reflection. Hello again, dear listener. Tonight, we wait for a flash, not a startling one, not loud or jarring, just a flicker of light in the deep folds of a cloud, a quiet breath of brightness, like a lantern being lit far away in the sky. We're floating now near a thundercloud, a tall, layered supercell, or perhaps a summer storm blooming at twilight. Its base is soft with shadow, the top gently tinged with grey-blue velvet. And then it happens. Lightning, a pale thread, woven from cloud to cloud, or reaching downward in a moment of invisible choreography. In the brief instant that lightning flashes, it reveals what was hidden, like turning on a light in a darkened room, just long enough to see what's inside. Sometimes that light is silver, sometimes it's warm, but in rare moments, in the presence of hail-laden clouds and just the right balance of moisture and evening sun, that light blooms into a ghostly green glow. For a second, the cloud doesn't just reflect light, it holds it, as if the lightning illuminated not just the surface, but the very heart of the storm. The entire sky may flicker with green, not neon, not loud, but gentle and deep, like jade beneath river water. This is not a colour that stays. It comes in flashes, whispers, a hush painted in light, and then it fades again, into softness, into shadow. The science behind this green glow begins with what's already there. Hail suspended in the cloud, moisture heavy in the air, and an atmosphere that's just beginning to lean toward twilight. When lightning flares, it sends a surge of light through the body of the storm. That light, pure and intense, travels through a maze of water droplets and ice crystals. And just like sunlight, lightning can be scattered and filtered. It can be shifted toward certain wavelengths, and, in the right conditions, toward green. It's a momentary bloom, a colour you might not even notice unless you're looking with quiet eyes, unless you're listening with stillness. There's something sacred about it, something old and patient. For generations, farmers and sky watchers have spoken of this light, that fleeting green just before the storm's deepest breath. Not a sign of fear, but a detail, an observation held close, like a well-worn page in a beloved book. Tonight, we observe too. So, as you lie back, imagine yourself beneath a vast sky, a storm in the distance, tall and slow moving, its belly full of drifting hail, its arms curled inward, and in the silence, a single pulse of lightning. It doesn't crack, it doesn't scream, it glows, and for one suspended heartbeat, the clouds bloom emerald, as if lit from within by some gentle secret. A hush that only storms know. Then darkness again, soft, familiar. The sky closes its curtain, and we are still here, held by the rhythm of the clouds, and the slow return to night. Let's drift. Tonight, we open a softer kind of book, not bound in leather or lit by screens, but held in memory, weathered by time, and filled with quiet, careful observations. We're turning the pages of weather records, those gentle, handwritten chronicles left behind by watchers of the sky. Long before satellites and radar, before models and monitors and meteorological tools, people studied the skies with eyes alone. They listened to the wind, they watched the light, and sometimes they noticed the green. These notes were not dramatic. They were humble, reflective, small entries in journals, letters to loved ones, margins filled with penciled sketches of clouds and colour. In 1884, a farmer in Kansas wrote of a storm that came in under a green ceiling. In 1932, a teacher in Oklahoma described a summer thunderhead as glowing faintly like a lantern of moss. These were not scientific declarations. They were impressions, moments of awe, recorded quietly and passed down like bedtime stories. In many of these accounts, green skies came before something powerful: a hailstorm, a gust front, sometimes even a tornado. But the observers were not afraid. They were curious. They understood that the sky spoke in colour, and they listened without panic. What's beautiful about these historical notes is not just their accuracy, but their stillness. No one rushed to conclusions. They simply described what they saw: a green underside to the storm, a cloud that looked like the sea above, sunset behind a wall of emerald light. In reading these lines, we find ourselves connected, not just to the sky, but to those who watched it before us. People who looked up at the same vast dome, who paused in their work or stepped outside at dusk, and felt that same soft question rise: why is the sky green tonight? Now we understand more. We speak of scattering, of hail, of light angles and cloud geometry. But the wonder, that remains the same. There's something deeply human about these shared moments. To notice a colour, to feel a shift, to write it down, not because it must be known, but because it moved you. So tonight, as you rest, imagine paging through a book of skies, each entry its own story, each one a glimpse into a quiet moment where light and weather met in a new way. You might read of a sailor in 1901 watching green clouds roll over a calm harbour, or a child in 1954 sketching the strange tint of a thundercloud outside her window. The ink may fade, but the wonder does not. It lives in the space between observations, in the soft science of noticing, in the hush before a storm. So rest now among these gentle accounts. Let the past fold around you like a warm page. And remember, the sky is not just science. It is memory, it is story, and it is shared. We'll keep drifting soon, but for now, we turn the next page, slowly. Welcome back, friend. Tonight, we drift over wide, open land, a place where the sky stretches without end, and where storms are not hidden, but proudly, peacefully vast. We're floating now over the American Midwest, the plains, the open heartland, where wheat bends to the wind, and the horizon runs like a straight line drawn by the earth itself. It's here, across these endless flatlands, that the green sky most often appears. Not every day, not every storm, but more than in most other places on Earth. This is part of what we sometimes call the Midwestern mystery, a quiet puzzle of geography, weather, and light. So, let's hover gently now, just above the cornfields, where summer storms begin to bloom in slow, towering spirals. Here in the Midwest, the land offers no resistance to the sky. There are no mountains to block the wind, no tall forests to temper the air, only space, stillness, and a perfect canvas for clouds to rise. Storms in these plains grow tall, very tall. Warm, humid air from the Gulf of Mexico drifts northward. Cool, dry air descends from the Rockies. And as the two meet, they rise into the atmosphere like dancers lifting into flight. The result is often the supercell, a storm type we've visited before. a rotating tower of moisture and wind, with hail forming high in the vaults of its clouded cathedral. As these supercells blossom over the plains, particularly in the late afternoon or early evening, the setting sun becomes an artist. It brushes warm light against the base of the clouds, where moisture is thick, and where hailstones quietly float in the storm's cold core. Here, in this moment of alignment between angle and moisture, altitude and air, green skies appear. Observers across Nebraska, Kansas, Oklahoma, and northern Texas have long noted this shade, a washed, sea-toned glow beneath a thunderstorm, sometimes pale, sometimes deep, but always otherworldly. It's not just one thing that causes it. It's a meeting, a shared space where light and water and altitude agree for just a few minutes to show us something rare. And the flatness of the land gives us a front row seat. There are no hills to hide the storm, no peaks to block the view, only the wide open horizon and the full height of the sky above. So as you rest, picture yourself lying in a quiet field, the air warm, the light dimming into amber, and a distant storm rising like a dark cathedral on the edge of sight. It rolls slowly forward, humming with wind, and beneath its base, just there, where the rain has not yet touched the ground, you see it, a soft emerald wash, not threatening, not loud, just a shade you weren't expecting, but somehow feel honored to witness. This is the Midwestern mystery, a secret not hidden, but wide and visible to those patient enough to look. It's not magic, it's not omen, it's science written in soft green strokes, and it is beautiful. Let's linger here just a little longer before we drift to our next chapter in the sky. Tonight, we approach a subject with care, not with fear, but with gentleness. We've spoken of green skies, how they form, where they appear, and the rare beauty they offer. Now, we explore a question often asked in whispers. Does a green sky mean a tornado is coming? The answer, softly, is not always, but sometimes, yes. Many tornadoes are indeed preceded by green skies, and so a quiet association has taken root. Part science, part instinct, part lived experience, passed down through generations. Let's float above the flatlands once more. The clouds are heavy, layered in a slow swirl. A supercell is taking shape, tall, elegant, and powerful in its structure. High in its vaults, hail is gathering. Lower down, the winds are shifting, the air tightening into rotation. And somewhere behind it all, the sun begins to slip downward, casting long rays of amber light toward the base of the storm. This is when the green appears. The hail-filled region of the cloud, thick with suspended ice, begins to scatter the light. It absorbs the warm reds, and what emerges is green, dim, soft, and glowing like moss lit from within. And often, it's during this phase of storm maturity, when hail is forming, when structure is clean and strong, when rotation may be developing, that tornadoes may follow. But the green sky is not a cause. It is not the tornado's shadow. It is a companion, a visual sign that ingredients are present. A soft cue, not a siren. Many storms glow green and bring only hail. Many tornadoes form under ordinary grey skies. The sky has no single language. It speaks in layers, in clues. So tonight, we approach the idea of tornadoes with respect, but not alarm. They are rare. They are not summoned by colour. They are shaped by winds, pressure, heat, and time. And even when they form, they remain distant from most. Watched, tracked, understood. So, as you lie back tonight, imagine the sky in motion, a great canvas of slow spirals and sunlit haze. Beneath a towering cloud, the green glow begins, not like a warning light, but like a gentle torch, held behind a curtain of mist. It does not cry out, it simply glows, and lets us notice. If there is rotation, it forms in silence, tucked into the cloud space, a slow breath of wind curling inward, perhaps, or perhaps not. The sky holds many possibilities, and we observe with awe, with patience, and with peace. Tonight, you are far from the storm, watching from a safe place of stillness. The clouds are distant, the wind is soft, and the green sky is only a story, one you now understand more fully. Let yourself be rocked by the rhythm of it, light, moisture, motion, and the great orchestration above. Let's continue soon, but for now, we rest beneath the emerald hush. Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, we explore a quiet question, one that's puzzled many dreamy sky watchers. Why does the sky look green to me, but not to my camera? You may have stood outside as a storm approached, watching the clouds shift into a soft, ghostly green. You lifted your phone, captured the moment, and later found grey. No emerald, no mossy glow, just the shape of a storm, but none of its colour. Tonight, we rest inside that difference, between what we see and what the camera sees. Let's begin with your eyes. The human eye is a beautiful, sensitive instrument, not just a passive lens, but a living part of your brain. Your eyes aren't simply collecting light, they're interpreting it, balancing colours, adjusting shadows, shaping experience from sensation. When you see a green sky, your perception is influenced by many things: the colour of the land below, the warmth of the sunlight behind the storm, the subtle contrast between cloud and light. Your brain weaves it all together, applying context, memory, even emotion. And what you experience is a full, nuanced world, a soft green that feels like it breathes. Now, imagine a camera, not a mind, not a memory, just a sensor. Cameras, even very good ones, see differently. They do not feel warmth. They do not recall yesterday's sky. They do not know that green is unusual and therefore worth noticing. They simply collect light as it arrives, measuring the raw wavelengths, flattening contrast, adjusting exposure automatically. If the green of the sky is subtle, blended between grey and gold, dimmed by shadow, or lightly veiled in mist, the camera may not distinguish it. It might wash the green into grey, or cool it into blue, or brighten it until the tone is lost. To the sensor, it's just a storm. To you, it's a feeling. This isn't a failure of technology, it's simply a difference of design. Cameras excel at detail, but the eye excels at nuance. And nuance is where green skies often live, just on the edge of visible, just on the edge of language. Some photographers try to adjust their images after the fact, tweaking saturation, warming tones, enhancing contrast, and still, the result often feels less than what was witnessed. The glow doesn't translate. The moment slips away. That's because green skies aren't just seen, they're felt. A camera records the light, but your mind records the mystery. So tonight, if you've ever doubted what you saw, if a photo made you question your memory, trust yourself. You saw green because it was there. Not bold, perhaps, not meant for the lens, but soft and real and alive in that moment. The sky sometimes shares things only we can witness, a colour meant for eyes, not screens. So, as you rest now, close your eyes and picture the storm not as a photo, but as a memory, a green sky above, the wind low and warm, the light filtering sideways through a curtain of moisture, and the colour, shy, fleeting, but true. You don't need proof, you only need presence. Let's drift onward. Tonight, we rise, not quickly, not noisily, but gently, like vapour lifting from a quiet morning lake. We're floating now, upward, through the sky. And as we move higher, the air changes, softly, layer by layer, each part of the atmosphere like a thin, invisible veil. Each layer has its own story, its own role in shaping how light moves, how colour appears, and how we, down below, perceive the sky. Let's begin where all our weather lives, in the troposphere. This is the lowest layer, the one we breathe, walk through, live within. It extends about 7 to 12 miles above the surface, depending on where you are in the world. Here, clouds are born, rain falls, winds move, and sunlight begins to scatter, especially through oxygen, nitrogen, and water vapor. This scattering, as we've seen, creates the blue of daytime, the gold of sunset, and yes, the soft green of certain storms. But as we rise, we pass into the next layer, the stratosphere. This layer is calmer, no turbulence, no tall clouds, only still air, and a protective veil known as the ozone layer. The ozone absorbs ultraviolet light, the invisible high-energy rays from the sun. It doesn't colour the sky on its own, but it filters what comes through. The light that reaches us has already been touched by this invisible guardian. And this matters, because when storms rise high, sometimes brushing the edge of the stratosphere, their tops interact with light that has travelled far, light that's already filtered, scattered, and softened. Then it enters the storm. Within the storm are particles, hailstones, raindrops, suspended mist, each acting like a lens, bending the filtered light once more. By the time that light emerges, it has been shaped again and again by altitude, by ice, by the layers above. And sometimes what remains is green. So you see, the green sky is not born in a single moment. It is the result of a long, patient journey, a path that begins in space, passes through the stratosphere, drifts down through the troposphere, and finally reaches your eyes. Each layer changes the light, not drastically, not harshly, just enough. Think of it like coloured glass windows in a cathedral, each one slightly altering the sunlight passing through, until the whole space glows with quiet wonder. That is the atmosphere, a layered filter, a painter's hand. So tonight, as you drift into rest, imagine yourself rising gently through these invisible tiers, feeling the air thin, the temperature shift, the colours soften, and then you look back toward Earth and see the clouds below, glowing just slightly, with a gentle, impossible green, not because the storm demands it, but because the layers allowed it. The sky does not wear just one face. It is depth, it is prism, it is passage, and we are always watching from beneath, catching only the final result, a colour brushed from space, through air, through storm, and finally, into sight. Let's float here a while longer, then we drift again. Welcome back, dear listener. Tonight, we explore something you can't always see, but you can feel. It's in the air, wrapped around you, settled on your skin, and suspended within the sky itself. Moisture, not rain, not droplets falling just yet, but the invisible humidity that floats quietly through the atmosphere, waiting, watching, softening. Moisture, especially when abundant, has a quiet hand in shaping colour. It bends light gently, like glass warmed by breath. And when a storm is near, when the clouds are tall and the air is thick, moisture begins to do something magical. It becomes a filter. Think of it this way. Sunlight travels from far away, streaming through the upper layers of the sky. As it reaches the troposphere, the lowest, densest part of the atmosphere, it meets the moisture that has gathered near the ground. The more humid the air, the more particles there are to scatter and spread the light. This scattering doesn't erase colour, it softens it. Edges blur, tones stretch. The light loses its sharpness and begins to feel gentle. This is why sunsets on humid days are often more pastel, why a hazy afternoon feels golden rather than white, why the sky can sometimes appear milky, as though viewed through silk. Now, imagine that same sunlight meeting a thunderstorm. Not just any storm, but one filled with water vapor, raindrops, and hailstones, suspended like ornaments in a snow globe. The incoming light is already softened by moisture outside the cloud. But once it enters the cloud's body, through rain-cooled air and icy interiors, it bends even more. And here, in this softened, refracted world, green sometimes emerges, not from pigment, not from dye, but from moisture, sculpting light into something rare. The process is quiet. There is no flash, no sound, only water, air, and the invisible art of filtering sunlight. It's the reason why green skies tend to appear before or after heavy rain, when the air is fully saturated and the light is slipping in at an angle. Moisture wraps the world in softness and the colours follow. So tonight, as you lie still, imagine walking through a quiet field before a storm. The wind is still. The air feels full, thick but not heavy. The sky deepens above you and the horizon begins to tint. Green, yes, but softened. Pale, like sea foam. Blended, like watercolour spilled gently on paper. This is the work of moisture. Not loud, not fast, just steady, shaping the light with every suspended drop. And when the storm passes and the clouds begin to drift, you may still see the afterglow, a faint green shimmer in the air, a memory left behind by water and sun. You don't need to understand it fully. You only need to feel it. Moisture is the sky's brushstroke, and colour is what follows in its path. Let's stay here a moment longer, wrapped in softness, before we drift to the edge of rain itself. Tonight, we draw near to something quiet, something steady, something deeply familiar. Rain. Not the first drop, not the thunder, but the gentle curtain that trails behind the storm, falling in slow motion along the faraway edge of the sky. Rain, when seen from a distance, doesn't fall in lines. It falls in veils, soft silver grey, like gauze pulled across the horizon, like a slow breath exhaled by the clouds. And it's here, at the boundary between rain and light, that green skies often appear. Imagine this. The sun is low, glowing faintly behind you. Ahead, a storm is drifting across the fields. The sky above it is layered in grey, but its underbelly glows with a subtle, mossy green. Rain is falling in the distance, not yet reaching you, but visible like brushstrokes against the air. The storm is backlit. This is the moment when sunlight shines through the falling rain, especially in humid air. It becomes filtered, scattered, and softened. And when hail or thick moisture lingers within the clouds, the filtered light can emerge tinted, green. It's not just about the cloud, it's about the light behind it. The green appears most clearly when you're looking toward the storm, and the sun is shining from behind you. The rain becomes a lens, the cloud a canvas, the atmosphere a prism, and together they compose a colour most people see only once in their lives. There's something about seeing rain from a distance that brings calm. It's not touching you yet. You're dry, still, watching, and the world becomes very quiet. Even birds hush. Even trees seem to listen. So tonight, picture yourself standing at the edge of that moment. Behind you, golden light. In front of you, a wall of soft rain. And above it all, the bottom of the cloud glows green. Not bright, but hushed. A muted halo that seems to float. It may last only a few minutes, but in that time, the sky feels suspended. Nothing rushes, nothing hurries. The storm continues its path, and you, just for a moment, are completely still. Rain is not the end of the colour. It is part of the painting, part of the reason the green sky appears at all. Not in thunder, not in flash, but in the hush before the storm touches earth, and in the glow just after it has passed. So rest now, in that in-between, that space where water falls slowly and colour glows quietly from behind. This is the gentlest part of the storm, and tonight you are here to witness it. We'll continue soon, but for now, we stay near the rain. Welcome again, dear listener. Tonight, we turn our gaze toward a sacred time of day, a fleeting golden hush when the world seems to soften into breath and light. It's known as the golden hour, and when towering thunderheads rise into this moment, the sky becomes a living canvas. Golden hour is not just a poetic phrase. It's a term rooted in light, the time shortly after sunrise, or just before sunset, when the sun sits low on the horizon and its light travels farther through the atmosphere. This journey softens the light, warming it, stretching it, and allowing longer wavelengths, the reds, oranges, and golds, to linger. Everything this light touches glows. Hills blush, trees shimmer, and clouds, especially large ones, begin to bloom with colour. Now picture this, a massive thundercloud, a cumulonimbus, rising into the sky. Its top brushes the upper atmosphere. Its base hovers dark and heavy above the land. And just as the sun begins to descend, its side is struck with honeyed light. The gold slides across the storm's face like a soft brushstroke. It doesn't light up the whole cloud, only the edge, only the places where sunlight can slip past the denser layers. And here, in this contrast, colour begins to shift. The cloud is not blank. It's full of water, hail, and rising currents. Its body, rich with texture, becomes a prism for golden hour light. Warm tones mix with shadowed blues and soft silvers. And in the quiet spaces where light passes through just right, the glow may shift into green, a pale sea-toned wash, or a deeper forest hue, sometimes bright, often subtle, always moving. This is not a common sight, but when it happens, it feels as if the sky is painting just for you. The green is not separate from the gold. It's born from the blend, from light filtered through moisture and held within the storm's shape. Even when no rain falls, even when the air is still, these green tones may appear beneath or within the cloud, not flashing, not glowing, just present, like the faintest whisper of colour. Observers often speak of it with reverence. A sky that looked like marble, a cloud with an emerald base beneath a copper crown. Descriptions that speak more to emotion than science. But perhaps that's what golden hour invites. So tonight, imagine yourself watching from a gentle hill. The sun is lowering behind you, casting long shadows across the fields. Before you, a thundercloud rises, its flanks brushed in gold, its base shadowed in green. No thunder, no rush, only colour, only stillness. This is the gift of the golden hour, a time when the sky becomes softer than it has been all day, and more honest than it will be all night. The thunderhead becomes more than a storm. It becomes art. And you, dear listener, are its quiet witness. Let's rest in the light a little longer before it fades. Tonight, we drift into something even rarer. A sky not quite green, not quite blue, but somewhere in between. A turquoise sky. Some call it teal, some call it seafoam or aquamarine. A colour hard to name because it doesn't often stay. It flickers, it fades, it whispers. Look closely. I'm only passing through. These skies are not common, even among storm watchers, but they have been seen, recorded in notes, in memories, in quiet awe. To understand them, we must revisit what we know. We know that green skies appear when light filters through thick clouds full of moisture and ice, especially hail suspended high within a tall storm. We also know that sunlight, when arriving from low angles, is already bent, already warmed, already filtered by the Earth's atmosphere. But sometimes, conditions align in a slightly different way. The sunlight that enters the cloud may be more neutral, not orange or golden, but soft white or silver. And the storm itself may be colder, denser with ice than liquid water. In those rare combinations, when the cloud is deep with frozen crystals, and the light passes through without much warmth, the result may lean not toward emerald, but toward turquoise, a cooler hue, a bluer glow, a quieter cousin of the green sky. It may appear near the storm's edge, or beneath the highest vaults of the cumulonimbus. It may pass so quickly you question if you saw it at all. But those who have witnessed it remember a sky that felt like the sea, hanging above the land, a colour that looked cold but felt strangely calm. This hue seems to carry with it a kind of emotional stillness, a sense of being wrapped in something both distant and close. Some researchers suggest that the balance of ice content and light temperature is what gives birth to this hue. Too warm and the green dominates. Too wet and the grey takes over. But in just the right sliver of balance, turquoise appears, and with it a sense of being between two worlds, not sky, not ocean, not green, not blue, but a soft corridor between. So tonight, as you breathe slowly, you might imagine floating beneath one of these rare storms. The wind is light, the birds have stilled, and overhead, a tall, frozen cloud glows faintly in teal. No flash, no thunder, just a colour you've never quite seen before, and may never see again. It doesn't demand to be understood. It asks only to be noticed, and perhaps remembered, because sometimes the sky gives us colours not found in books, not explained in forecasts, but whispered into the space between science and story. This is the turquoise storm, a rarity, a hush, and now a dream. Let's linger a moment longer in this soft, sea-coloured light. Then we'll float on. Welcome, dear one. Tonight, we look not just to the sky, but downward, because sometimes what happens beneath us shapes what we see above. It's easy to think of the sky as separate, aloof, suspended, unreachable. But the sky is not a ceiling, it's a mirror, and the earth, the land, the ground, reflects more than we might expect. Tonight, we explore how what lies underfoot can influence the colour above, especially in those tender moments when green skies appear. Let's begin with something bright, a field covered in fresh snow. Snow is not just cold, it's reflective, like a vast, quiet mirror stretched across the earth. When sunlight strikes snow, it doesn't stop. It bounces. It sends beams of light back upward into the atmosphere. These upward reflections can subtly shift the light balance around a cloud. If a storm rolls in above a snowy plain, tall, moisture-laden, lit from the side by sun, the light bouncing upward from the snow can soften the underside of the cloud, adding brightness and shifting tones. In some cases, it amplifies the green, making the emerald more visible, more gentle, more surreal. Now imagine lush green grass instead. Green vegetation absorbs red and blue wavelengths and reflects green ones. So, when sunlight shines on rolling meadows, the reflected light may carry a slight green hue back upward. It's subtle, delicate, but in the right storm, with moisture-rich clouds above, this added green from below can deepen what's already forming in the sky. It's not a trick, it's a collaboration. Light dancing between earth and cloud. Even wet pavement can reflect. After a storm has passed, or just before the rain begins, a smooth, damp street may mirror the sky, doubling its color, softening its glow, making everything feel more dreamlike. In urban areas, light behaves differently. Cityscapes reflect more than just color. They add light of their own. Street lamps, signs, headlights, windows. This mixture of artificial glow and natural storm can shift the mood entirely. Sometimes it dulls the green. Other times it creates new tones, a dusty jade, a smoky teal, a dusky lime hovering low in the cloud base. Even soil plays a part. Dark earth absorbs more light, but pale sand or dry fields may reflect enough to warm the sky's tones. Everything below interacts with everything above. The clouds aren't just shaped by air currents. They are painted by what reflects into them. So tonight, as you rest, imagine lying on the earth, on snow or grass or stone, watching a storm rise slowly into the golden hour. Behind it, the Eidutser's sun glows softly. Above, the cloud begins to shift in hue, and all around you, the land itself lifts its light back toward the sky. It's not just what the storm carries, but what the earth offers. A quiet partnership, a mirrored dance, a reminder that we're part of the painting too. Let's stay here in reflection, just a little longer. Tonight, we follow in quiet footsteps, not to chase, but to observe those who do. Storm photographers, or chasers as they're sometimes called, travel not in haste, but in hope. They seek not danger, but beauty, patterns, moments that pass too quickly for most to see. And among these moments, few are spoken of with more reverence than the rare, ghostly green sky. They speak of it in hushed tones, like a song only a few have heard. Some have driven for hours across the plains, watching the horizon ripple with shadow and cloud, waiting for the light to shift, for moisture to rise, for that unmistakable shade to bloom across the storm's underbelly. One photographer in the Dakotas described it like this: a cathedral made of vapor, glowing from within. It wasn't threatening, it was holy. Another stood outside a small town in Kansas, camera in hand, breath still in the warm evening air. The storm moved in with grace, silent, enormous, the light shifting second by second. And then, the green, subtle at first, almost imagined, then stronger, spilling gently across the sky like a watercolor wave. They raised the camera, clicked, but later, when they looked, the green was gone. It had not been captured, only experienced. Many storm photographers share this same truth. The green sky is often a gift for the eyes alone, and perhaps that's how it should be. These storytellers, with tripods and lenses and practiced patience, have taught us much. They've shown us that the green sky isn't predictable. It doesn't arrive on schedule. It doesn't follow rules. But when it comes, when all the elements align. It feels like the sky is whispering something just to them, and they share it with us in soft words, in blurred photos, in memories passed like weathered postcards from the clouds. They describe skies that looked like oceans above the prairie, rain that fell in veils of jade, storms that breathed in aquamarine, not always photographed clearly, but felt, remembered. So tonight, as you drift, you might imagine yourself in the passenger seat, traveling slow across a 2-lane road beneath a restless sky. Next to you, someone watches the clouds like they're reading a poem. The sun drops low behind you, and there, just ahead, the sky blushes green. The car stops. No one speaks, because some moments don't ask to be described, only witnessed, and in that stillness, you understand what they've been chasing. Not storms, not spectacle, but a colour the world rarely shows, and the hush it carries when it comes. Let's drift on, with gratitude for those who've looked up and told us what they saw. Welcome, quiet traveller. Tonight, we float into something smaller than raindrops, quieter than wind, nearly invisible, and yet always present. Dust, not the kind you wipe from shelves or sweep from corners, but the dust that lives in the air, the microscopic particles suspended high above the ground, drifting slowly, waiting to meet the light. We also drift through pollution, a modern word for a very old truth. The sky is never empty. Even the clearest air carries things we cannot see. Tiny fragments of soil lifted by wind, ash from distant fires, salt crystals from the sea, aerosols from trees and cities alike. And when storms begin to form, this tapestry of particles moves with them, swirling into the folds of towering clouds, mingling with water vapor, rising with the heat. These particles, dust, soot, organic matter, are more than passive passengers. They influence the way light travels. Let's float gently beside a developing thunderstorm. It rises slowly from the land, fed by warm air, its base growing wide and heavy with moisture. As sunlight approaches the storm, particularly near the golden hour, it doesn't meet a blank canvas. It passes first through the lower atmosphere, where these fine particles drift. Dust, especially, loves the late afternoon. It hangs in low light like a forgotten veil, softening beams, scattering wavelengths, bending sunlight into warmer, more complex hues. This is why sunsets near deserts often glow deeper, why the sky above farmland after harvest might burn orange, why a storm near the city may carry unexpected tones, and under rare conditions. When the storm is tall, the air rich with moisture, and the sun low on the horizon, dust and pollution can tilt the balance of colour toward green. It's not that the dust is green itself, it's that it subtly removes and shifts certain wavelengths of light, letting others pass through, refracting in ways our eyes interpret as jade or turquoise or moss. This interaction can be poetic, a green sky above a dry field, a strange glow behind a city skyline, a quiet emerald tint at the edge of an oncoming storm. Sometimes, after wildfires, the sky takes on unusual colours. Smoke particles behave like dust, spreading light in long, soft waves, cooling the sky's tones. Some storm watchers have noted this, a green-grey hue appearing after days of haze, as if the sky is remembering something deeper. Of course, too much pollution can mute the sky's palette entirely, dimming light, dulling contrast, making everything seem blurred, but in balance, in just the right measure. These particulates create depth. A storm with dust in its lower layers and hail in its upper vaults becomes a prism, a slow-breathing lantern of refracted colour. So tonight, as you rest, imagine drifting inside a layer of air that's more alive than it seems. Not empty, but full of fragments, invisible artists painting on the sky. Dust, pollution, ash, mist. They whisper across the horizon, waiting for light to find them. And when it does, the palette shifts, not by force, but by the softest scattering. Green may be one result, a quiet echo of all that passes unseen. Let's drift here for a moment longer, held in the hush of particles. Welcome back, dear listener. Tonight, we rest with a colour that stirs stories, memories, questions. Green, not the green of spring leaves or pine forests, but the green that hovers just beneath a storm, a strange floating shade, half sky, half sea, alive in cloud and light. For many, this colour feels unsettling. Perhaps you felt it too, standing under a darkening sky, watching the clouds shift into a tone you've never seen before, and wondering what it means. Tonight, we explore the truth behind that feeling, gently, with care. Because yes, green skies have, at times, preceded powerful storms, hail, wind, even tornadoes. And over generations, people began to associate the green glow with the sense that something was coming. Not necessarily because green caused the danger, but because it often appeared in the moments before. It became, in some minds, a warning, a sign to watch the horizon, a signal to stay inside. And while there is some science behind this, the presence of hail, the structure of rotating storms, the way light behaves in certain cloud formations, it's also important to know this. Green does not always mean harm. Sometimes green skies appear, and nothing follows. No hail, no wind, just a storm that passes, quietly, carrying its colour with it. The fear, then, is often from memory, from old stories passed down, from moments when green came before something loud. But green, in itself, is not a threat. It's a result, a reflection, a beautifully complex blending of light and atmosphere and moisture. And it can be something more, wonder, because how rare it is to look up and see a colour you didn't know the sky could make. How quiet the world becomes under that strange glow. How the birds pause, the leaves hush, and time slows, just for a moment, as the sky shifts into dream. Photographers describe green skies as surreal. Painters call them otherworldly. Meteorologists call them interesting. Never quite the same. Never easy to define. So tonight, we soften this colour in your heart. Let go of the fear. Let green be strange. Let it be curious. Let it be the sky telling a complex story, not of warning, but of balance. A story of light filtered through water, of particles moving in unison, of clouds catching the sun at just the right slant. You can watch it, feel it, without alarm. You can stand beneath it and say, this is rare, this is beautiful, and I am safe. So rest now, wrapped in green, not as a siren, but as a song. Let it fill your dreams, not with worry, but with awe. The sky paints in many colours, and tonight it chose this one, just for you. Let's drift on. Hello again, gentle traveller. Tonight, we drift not through motion, but through stillness, a hush that settles beneath the storm, beneath the strange green sky, where the world seems to pause and breathe. Because even when the atmosphere stirs above, even when clouds tower and light bends into jade, there is often calm at the surface. It's one of the quietest moments in weather, when the world waits, not out of fear, but out of awareness. Let's imagine that moment together. You're standing beneath a wide, open sky. The day has slowly darkened, not into night, but into colour, a shade you don't often see, hovering between sage and seafoam, a soft green wash filtering through the clouds. The wind stills. The air becomes full, not heavy, but dense, quiet, like a held breath. Trees that moments before were swaying now stand almost perfectly still. Their leaves stop rustling, their branches no longer sway. Even the grass seems to bow slightly, as if listening. And the birds have gone silent. Not vanished, not fled, just hushed, perched in branches, watching, or resting in hidden places, letting the moment pass. Animals sense the change in air pressure. They feel what we often don't, that the sky is doing something rare, something layered and beautiful. It's a pause. And in this pause, we often feel the world slow down with us. It may seem paradoxical that while a storm is building above, there's peace below. But this is one of the atmosphere's quiet gifts. It gives us a moment between wind and rain, between build-up and release, between knowing and wondering. The green sky casts a soft light over the landscape. Colours shift, shadows stretch. The world begins to look like a dream remembered. Photographers call this the colour of stillness. Farmers have spoken of it as the quiet before the clouds speak. And those who've lived long beneath wide skies will often recall this hush as one of nature's most profound offerings. It's not just physical stillness, but emotional stillness too. Under a green sky, people often report feeling reflective, slowed, even reverent. They whisper without meaning to. They pause without needing to. They feel, for a moment, part of the atmosphere itself. Tonight, we honour that pause. You are safe beneath this sky. The storm is far above. Its green light only a reflection, a result of water, sunlight, and air having a quiet conversation overhead. So, let yourself be still too. Inhale deeply and exhale slowly, in rhythm with the trees, with the hush, with the hidden birds. You are not waiting for anything. You are simply in the moment. This is the calm beneath the colour, a breath held by the earth, a stillness not made of fear, but of wonder. Let it settle around you like a soft blanket. Let it hold you, and when the breeze returns, when the rain begins to fall, you'll remember this green sky, this quiet pause, this gift of stillness. We rest, here now, inside the breath between. Tonight, we step gently into contrast, into a pairing so rare, so quiet. It almost feels like a dream whispered by the sky. Green skies and snow. At first thought, they seem to live in different seasons. Green skies often appear before spring storms, during hail-filled clouds or late summer supercells. But on the rarest of occasions, snow is what follows. Let's float gently into this atmospheric surprise. Picture a day that begins in late winter, a sky layered in soft greys, clouds building slowly, rising in elegant towers, light still slipping in low from the afternoon sun. The atmosphere is full of moisture. Perhaps warmer air aloft has drifted over colder ground. The surface is chilled, maybe even frozen, but the cloud above is rich with potential. And as the sun dips low behind the storm, the light filters through those icy layers, through suspended crystals, frozen droplets, and the soft veil of cloud base just beginning to release its contents. The result? A greenish glow, faint like sea glass, not vibrant, but gentle, spreading slowly beneath the cloud. And then, instead of rain, snow begins to fall. Quiet, steady, the kind of snow that seems to float more and more than descend, its flakes large and deliberate, like feathers released from above. The green sky becomes a soft lantern, a light that doesn't blink or shimmer, but holds steady and surreal. This moment is rare because the ingredients must align just so. You need moisture in the cloud, ice crystals forming at multiple layers, and a low sun angle, just right to tint the storm from behind. But you also need cold air at the surface, and temperatures within the cloud layers that allow for snow, not rain. In most cases, the warmth required for green skies comes with conditions that favour hail or heavy rain. But occasionally, especially near seasonal shifts, the atmosphere surprises us, and snow becomes the gift that falls from green. Observers have spoken of this in soft awe, of snowflakes falling through a jade-tinted sky, the world glowing like a watercolour painting, the sound completely absent, no wind, no thunder, just snow and colour. It's one of the gentlest contradictions weather can offer. A storm that looks like spring but feels like winter, a sky that glows and then hushes the earth in white. So tonight, imagine standing outside, wrapped in a warm coat, watching this rare moment unfold. Snowflakes drift down slowly. You tilt your head upward, and there it is, the soft green canopy above, like the sky has turned to glass. The snow catches the colour as it falls. Not enough to stain it, just enough to glow. Pale mint, dusty emerald, soft teal in motion. This is not a sky you chase, it's one you receive. And as the snow deepens, the green begins to fade, returning to grey, to dusk, to night. But you remember, you carry the image, the green sky and the falling snow. The rare moment when opposites met in perfect stillness. Let it settle in your heart like snowfall, quiet, unexpected, and endlessly gentle. We drift on now, carried by contrast, into whatever the sky will offer next. Welcome back, dear listener. Tonight, we listen to the sky, not for thunder, but for something quieter, light, because storms speak not only in sound, but in colour. And this language, soft as breath, is written in shifting shades across the sky. It begins gently, long before the first drop of rain, long before the wind turns or the clouds thicken. It begins with light, filtered, refracted, reflected, painted onto the body of a storm like brushstrokes on moving canvas. When a storm builds, it pulls in moisture, it rises through layers of the atmosphere, and sunlight, still glowing from its low perch in the sky, begins to bend around it. That's when the language begins. You may see gold at the edges, sunlight clinging to the high flanks of a cumulonimbus cloud, casting soft halos where the air is dry and clear. You may see purple, deep and quiet, where the blue-grey of shadow meets the warm pinks of setting light. And sometimes, rarely but memorably, you see green, a soft, haunting green, hovering beneath the belly of the storm, just above the horizon, where light has passed through rain and hail, through mist and silence, and emerged changed. This palette is more than beauty, it's a message. Meteorologists study these tones. They know that green may suggest suspended hail, that purple can signal high moisture, that golden edges often point to late-day lighting. But even scientists know there's more to it than just physics. There's a rhythm to the way light plays within storms, a kind of atmospheric poetry. The storm speaks, and we, with our eyes, not ears, listen. Have you ever watched a storm arrive from the distance? The way it changes colour as it nears. First, the horizon darkens. Then, light flickers from behind, turning the sky into layers, like a page half-turned. In a glowing book, the storm may not be loud, but it glows with feeling, and that glow, a flicker of amber, a wash of grey-green, a violet sheen after the rain, tells us where it's been. It tells us what it carries. Stormlight doesn't flash like lightning. It lingers. It folds itself into the storm's shape. Sometimes it lasts only minutes. Other times it stays long after the rain has gone, casting a glow over soaked streets, turning puddles into mirrors of sky. Tonight, as you rest, you might imagine reading this language, not fluently, but softly. Let the colours drift past your mind like whispered phrases. The golden fringe of the anvil cloud, a hello. The deepening blue of the lower base, a sigh. The moment green appears, a story remembered, told not in words, but in tone. The sky doesn't always need to speak loudly. Sometimes it says the most when it simply glows. And we, beneath our blankets, beneath the branches, beneath the ever-shifting sky, we are listeners. Let stormlight pass over you like lullabies. There is no test, no translation needed. Just this: colour, stillness, and you. Let's float here a while longer, inside the light of the storm's voice. Tonight, we rest inside a mystery, because even now, with all our instruments, our satellites and sensors, our models and maps, the green sky still holds its secrets. Science knows a lot, but not everything, and perhaps that's part of the wonder. Let's drift gently into what we do know. We know that green skies are most often seen before storms, especially those tall enough to produce hail. We know that when the sun sits low in the sky, its light can pass through clouds in unusual ways, filtering through moisture, scattering across suspended particles, and sometimes, just sometimes, emerging green. We know that hail is often present. We know that moisture is thick. We know that cloud depth, time of day, and angle of sunlight all play a role. But still, why green? Why not deep grey, or soft blue, or pale yellow? Why this strange, aquatic, glowing shade? Some scientists suggest it's an optical illusion, that the cloud's deep grey base, when lit with orange or yellow light from behind, is perceived by our eyes as green. Others believe it's true filtering, that sunlight really does pass through layers of ice and water in such a way that only green wavelengths remain. Still, others think it's a mixture of both, a visual result of storm structure, light physics, and human perception. But there is no one answer, and that, dear listener, is something rare, because we live in a world that often demands certainty. We ask our skies to be predictable, our clouds to be measured, our storms to be explained. But nature doesn't always follow our need for clarity. Sometimes it keeps a little of itself unspoken, and so the green sky remains, part science, part art, part dream. Meteorologists document it, photographers chase it, writers try to describe it, but no one fully defines it. And that's okay, because in the quiet space between knowledge and not knowing, we find something peaceful. We find wonder. It means the sky still surprises us, still holds poetry we haven't yet translated, still creates colours we can't recreate, still speaks in tones beyond data. So tonight, as you lie beneath your own sky, perhaps dark, perhaps full of stars, remember that even now, there are things we cannot measure fully, and perhaps we don't need to. Let green remain mysterious. Let it drift just out of reach. Let it remind us that we are part of a living world, and not everything must be solved. Some things, like dreams, like lullabies, like sky, are meant simply to be felt. So rest now, with knowledge and unknowing side by side. Let the mystery of green skies rock you to sleep. We drift on. Hello again, gentle traveller. Tonight, we lift softly from Earth, not in a rocket or a rush, but in quiet curiosity. We ask a question, not to solve it, but to hold it. Could green skies exist on other planets? Not just on Earth, where sunlight filters through moisture and hail, but on Venus, on Mars, on Saturn's moon, Titan. Let's drift outward, slowly, carried by wonder. We begin close to home, with Venus, our sister planet in the solar system. Venus is wrapped in thick clouds of sulfuric acid, its atmosphere dense and choking, its surface so hot it could melt lead. Sunlight there does reach the clouds, but it doesn't pass through in the way it does on Earth. Instead, the thick atmosphere scatters the light in hues of yellow and orange, with deeper reds near the surface. Scientists believe the sky of Venus would appear more amber than green. But still, if one could stand there, protected, and gaze upward during a rare break in cloud layers, who knows what strange scattering might occur. Now let's glide to Mars, the red planet. Its sky is famously pink during the day, and bluish at sunrise and sunset, an opposite to Earth's blue day and red dusk. This is due to iron-rich dust suspended in the Martian atmosphere. The light behaves differently there. Thinner air, different particles, another palette entirely. Would a Martian storm ever produce green? Perhaps not. There's no water cloud system quite like ours. No towering cumulonimbus to bend the light into mossy emeralds. But maybe, just maybe, in a dust storm tinted by mineral content, with the sun low on the horizon, a teal hue could drift briefly through the air. We don't know for certain, and that's the beauty of it. Farther still, we find Titan, a moon of Saturn, wrapped in thick orange haze, its atmosphere full of methane and complex hydrocarbons. Sunlight barely reaches the surface. But above the haze, in the upper layers, where icy clouds swirl slowly, the light might scatter in unfamiliar ways. Here, some models suggest that green wavelengths could pass through more easily than others. Not a vivid green, not one we'd see clearly with human eyes, but a hint, a whisper, the possibility of colour in a place far colder, far darker, far stranger than our world. Could a sky on Titan ever glow softly in shades of jade? We don't yet know, and that is the gentle joy of space. We get to wonder. So tonight, as you rest, picture yourself floating just above the clouds of another world. Venus, warm and golden. Mars, pink and quiet. Titan, blue-black and dreaming. Each one with skies of their own, each with its own way of scattering light, of painting atmosphere, of holding mystery. Here on Earth, we've seen green skies, brief, soft, real. Out there, maybe one day, someone else will look up and see a colour they can't explain, and they too will wonder. Let that thought settle softly around you, like mist drifting across a foreign sky. The question doesn't need an answer. It only needs to be held. We drift now, from planet to planet, carried not by fuel, but by wonder. Welcome, dear listener. Tonight, we float inside a storm, not at its edge, but deep within its folds, not to disturb it, but to observe, to feel the shadows within clouds, and how they shape the colours we see. Because when we speak of a green sky, we often think of light, sunlight bending, scattering, filtering through rain and hail. But there's another player in the story, shadow. Inside a towering thundercloud, the light doesn't travel freely. It weaves. Storms, especially supercells, are not hollow. They're vast and layered, filled with curtains of rain, walls of moisture, ribbons of ice and air. and each layer casts its own shadow. Sunlight entering from one side might pass through one layer, then be dimmed by another. It might be absorbed, bounced, or blocked. The deeper the cloud, the more scattered the light becomes, and the more muted and mysterious the color. This is why green skies often appear at the base of the storm, in the zone where light struggles to escape, and where shadows stack upon each other like gauze. The shadows don't erase the green, they shape it. They give it depth, tone, subtlety. Instead of a bright hue, we see layers of moss and sage and sea glass, colors that feel like they have weight. Imagine now a cross-section of a storm. At the top, brilliant white, where sunlight hits pure ice. Below, darker grays, where snow turns to rain and the moisture thickens. Lower still, shadowed green, where hail is held aloft and the sun can only whisper through. Every layer deepens the palette. Every ripple of cloud darkens the space behind it. And sometimes, lightning flares inside, not to startle, but to illuminate. For one brief moment, the shadows vanish. The structure reveals itself, and the green glow, hidden behind veils, pulses outward like a lantern in fog. Cloud shadows aren't sharp. They don't cast lines. They drift and deepen, creating atmospheric shading, a kind of sky-bound chiaroscuro. Painters try to recreate this. Photographers chase it, but nothing captures it like standing beneath it, watching a storm swell with light and darkness all at once. So tonight, as you lie back, imagine yourself drifting within the cloud, not frightened, just floating between light and shadow. You pass through brighter mist, into darker folds, and then into a deep green-hued layer lit faintly from behind. The shadows don't hide the storm. They give it shape. They show you its depth. This is how the atmosphere paints, not with one flat color, but with layers, each one a brushstroke of air, each one a soft filter of light. The green you see beneath a storm is not just light. It is light and shadow, depth and veil, moisture and mystery. So rest here, in the hidden folds of the cloud, where color breathes through shadow, and the sky tells its story in tone. Let's drift gently onward, to whatever lies behind the next layer of light. Welcome back, quiet dreamer. Tonight, we reflect on something delicate, a truth that shifts depending on how and who is looking. Sometimes, when we see a green sky, what we're really seeing is an illusion, but not the kind you need to fix or question. Not something false, just something complex. Something that reminds us that perception is its own kind of truth. Let's drift there now, softly. Imagine you're standing beneath a storm. The light is low. The clouds stretch deep across the horizon. You notice a color rising beneath them. Not grey, not blue, not brown, but green. A shade you didn't expect. A color that feels like a story. And yet, when you take a photograph, the green is gone. Or when someone else looks, they see only grey. Did the color disappear? Or was it never there at all? Science tells us that under certain conditions, our eyes may interpret color combinations in ways that feel green, even if no true green wavelength is dominant. This happens when stormy blue light, scattered by the cloud's moisture, meets with the amber gold of low sunlight. Our eyes blend these together. Our minds interpret the mix. And sometimes, we see green, not because the green light is strongest, but because it emerges between two others. This is known as a perceptual blend, like how a painter mixes yellow and blue to create green, not with one pure pigment, but with relationship. And the sky paints this way too. Color isn't just wavelength, it's also context. What colours surround it? How bright is the light? How adapted are your eyes to the dusk, to the haze, to the moisture? Our brains constantly adjust. They compare, they balance, they create meaning from light. So, the green you see may not be the green someone else sees. And that is not a flaw. It is a marvel. Perception is deeply human, deeply yours, rooted not just in sight, but in memory, mood, atmosphere. The green sky may live partly in your eye and partly in the cloud, partly in the light itself, and partly in the way your body and mind receive it. And isn't that beautiful? To think that the sky can speak to you, specifically you, in a tone only you can truly hear. So, tonight, we rest in that truth. You don't need to verify the green. You don't need a second witness. You don't need data to justify what you saw. You saw it. And that is enough. Perception is real, even when it's complicated, even when it lives in the liminal space between colours. So let the green sky be what it was, a message you received, a moment that spoke in hue and left quietly. Not every colour needs to be caught. Some are meant to be felt, then let go. You can close your eyes now and return to that place, to the soft glow, to the hush, to the green that may or may not have truly existed, but fully belonged to you. Let that be comfort, and let it carry you softly into the next drift of thought. Tonight, we rise once again, not with speed, but with slow, measured breath, into the coldest reaches of the storm. Above the low clouds, above the falling rain, high into the vaults where only the tallest storms reach, we enter the realm of ice. And here, we meet the tiny artists that help shape the colours we see. Ice crystals. These delicate structures form where air is coldest, often in the upper layers of a cumulonimbus cloud, or in cirrus clouds stretched like brushstrokes far above. They are not like hailstones, heavy, round, spinning through updrafts. These crystals are small, feather-light, intricately shaped, and full of mystery. Each one grows differently, hexagonal, columned, star-like, depending on temperature, humidity, and altitude. But what unites them is their quiet ability to bend light. When sunlight reaches these frozen realms, it doesn't simply pass through. It is refracted, bent, split, scattered, and softened. Sometimes this creates halos around the sun. Sometimes sundogs, twin spots of light hovering at either side. And sometimes, when light passes through the dense tops of storm, clouds where ice crystals float in high concentration, it emerges with a hint of green. Why? Because the shape of the ice crystal and its position relative to the sun alters the path of certain wavelengths. Green light, just short of yellow and longer than blue, can survive this passage in rare moments, especially when combined with hail below and low sunlight behind. The ice at the top, the hail in the middle, the moisture in the base, all become lenses layered together. The result? A sky that seems to glow from within, a jade tint held just beneath the surface of grey. Sometimes it's bright, as if lit by a lantern. Other times it's dim, a foggy wash that deepens the shadows below. Either way, the ice plays a quiet role. Not commanding, but crucial. It changes the light, it filters the colour, and in its frozen breath, it tells us what's happening high above. So tonight, as you float into rest, imagine drifting upward into a realm where it is always cold, so cold. It doesn't sting, only stills. You pass through mist, then cloud, then into silent altitudes where the sky is full of crystals. They glint faintly in dim sunlight. They hang weightless, and they turn ever so slightly, casting fragments of colour outward, like soft prisms in the breath of the storm. This is the realm above green skies, the place where ice carves light into something rare. Let yourself rest here, drifting among the frozen dancers, feeling no urgency, only wonder. The sky is always at work, even in the coldest corners, even in silence, and sometimes it paints with ice. Let's drift now, toward the next soft revelation. Welcome again, quiet listener. Tonight, we move gently from the science of the sky to something even softer, feeling, because long after a storm has passed, long after the wind stills and the rain dries, what often lingers most isn't the pressure or the data, but the light, the way the sky changed, the way it felt. Stormlight carries more than colour. It carries emotion. Let's explore that, not by solving it, but by remembering it. Have you ever stood outside just before a storm, the wind quieting, the clouds building, the sun slipping lower behind the trees, and suddenly the light shifts? Maybe it turns golden or copper or pale grey-green, and everything feels different. The air thickens, the birds quiet, and the world seems to pause between one breath and the next. In that space, something stirs inside. Not fear, not exactly, not excitement either, but something quieter, a kind of awe. Stormlight does that. It takes what we know, trees, buildings, fields, sky, and casts it in new tones. Suddenly, familiar things feel foreign, painted in colour, combinations we rarely see. And in that brief transformation, our memory wakes. We remember other storms, other seasons, other moments when the sky turned strange and beautiful. Sometimes it reminds us of childhood, watching from a window, wrapped in a blanket, counting the seconds between lightning and thunder. Sometimes it brings nostalgia of summers long gone, of rain-wet sidewalks, of that strange green glow before a July hailstorm. Sometimes it brings quiet comfort, the recognition that we are small, but not alone, that we are part of a world that breathes, and turns, and changes its colours without asking for permission. Stormlight isn't just light, it's atmosphere in the emotional sense. It creates a mood, a tone, a memory in real time. This is especially true for green skies. They're so rare, so fleeting, that when they appear, they often press themselves deeply into memory, even if we didn't photograph it, even if we didn't fully understand it. We remember the moment, the hush, the stillness, the light that didn't look like anything we'd seen before, and our mind stores it gently, not as fact, but as feeling. So tonight, as you rest, you might drift back to a storm you remember. Not the loudest one, not the fiercest, but the one that made you feel something wordless, a colour, a mood, a moment you couldn't quite name. That's what stormlight does. It turns the sky into story, and you into the quiet reader of it. No need to explain, no need to define, only to remember, and rest in the glow of memory. We drift on now, light-hearted, and lit softly by skies that stay with us long after the clouds have passed. Welcome back, dreamer of clouds. Tonight, we sit quietly beside the scientists of the sky, the meteorologists, the watchers, the interpreters of wind and weather. And we ask a simple question. Why are green skies so hard to predict? We know how to forecast rain. We model wind. We trace hurricanes across oceans with pinpoint precision. But green skies? They remain elusive, not because we aren't looking, but because they resist rules. Let's drift into why. Forecasting begins with data, satellite imagery, radar readings, surface reports. Meteorologists use models to predict how air will move, how moisture will rise, how temperatures will fall. They can say with confidence, a thunderstorm will form here. Hail is likely this afternoon. Winds will increase by nightfall. But nowhere in those models is a checkbox that says, sky will turn green. There's no single variable for it, no algorithm that guarantees it. Because green skies happen not from one cause, but from a perfect combination of causes. You need tall storm clouds, deep enough to hold ice. You need sunlight, angled just so, often late in the day. You need moisture, thick, layered, suspended, and you need the observer to be in the right place, at the right moment, looking in the right direction. Even a few degrees of angle can make the difference between grey and green. And so, meteorologists, even with all their tools, all their training, often say this with a smile. We didn't see it coming, but when it came, we stood outside and watched. Some have chased storms for decades and seen a green sky only once. Others have watched it appear over the same field every summer for years. It's personal, it's poetic, it's hard to model wonder. But that doesn't stop scientists from trying, from asking questions, from sharing stories, from standing side by side as a supercell blooms on the horizon and someone says, "Do you see that? That colour?" And the others nod, not because it was forecast, but because it was felt. Science loves answers, but it also loves mystery, and green skies remain one of the sky's favourite secrets. So tonight, as you rest, you don't need to understand it all. You don't need certainty. You can simply join the quiet chorus of those who look up in wonder and whisper, "There it is again." And if it doesn't appear tomorrow, or the next storm, that's all right. Some beauty isn't meant to be predicted, only received. Let's rest now, beside the scientists who still look skyward, not just with instruments, but with open hearts. We drift on. Welcome, gentle dreamer. Tonight, we listen, not to clouds, not to wind, but to stories. Tales once whispered before bed, shared between generations, and carried in the hush of storms. Because long before meteorology became a science, long before satellites scanned the sky, people looked up at the rare green glow and wondered, what does it mean? Tonight, we drift into those stories, not to confirm them, but to honour the way humans have always found comfort in telling the sky's secrets out loud. Let's begin in the American plains, where tall grass ripples like water, and the sky is vast enough to hold a legend. Children once heard from elders that a green sky meant the sky was boiling with spirits. Not dangerous, not angry, just busy. The ancestors are cooking something, one grandmother said with a smile, as the clouds turned pale jade above her porch. For others, green skies were signs of change. In farming families, a green storm might mean the crops needed tending, or that rain was coming to wash the dust clean. But not all stories were warnings. In some, the green sky was a signal, a message from birds or wind gods, a sign that one should pause, be still, and listen. In Scandinavian folk tales, it was said that when the sky turned green, the northern lights were trying to visit further south, but the clouds had gathered too thick to let them through. Children would run outside in the dusk, looking up hopefully, searching for ribbons of light behind the storm. In Appalachian stories, there were whispers of the green-bellied sky, a colour so rare it meant the world was catching its breath. "It's just thinking," a parent might say. "Don't worry, the sky's just thinking out loud." Some indigenous stories told of animals that could walk between worlds only when the sky turned that colour, green being neither the blue of day nor the black of night, but a doorway in between. It was a sacred colour, not feared, but respected. In more modern times, children have invented their own tales, that the green sky meant a dragon was flying behind the clouds, its wings scattering emerald light, that the earth was jealous of the sky, and for a moment the grass had climbed upward to take a look, that a storm so powerful had stirred the ocean's memory, and now the sea was glowing overhead. None of these stories are scientific, but all of them are true in the way stories can be. True to feeling, true to wonder, true to the strange hush that falls when the sky turns green. So tonight, let yourself return to that kind of knowing, the kind that doesn't need explanation, the kind that sees a colour and turns it into story. You might imagine a child looking up, asking, "Why is the sky green?" and hearing not a forecast, but a tale. The sky is baking light into something new. The trees are holding their breath. The storm is painting the air a different colour, just to see if anyone notices. And you noticed. So rest now, wrapped in these soft myths. The sky is always more than physics. It is memory, it is voice, it is legend. And when it turns green, maybe it's just telling you a bedtime story of its own. We listen, and we drift. Tonight, we walk slowly through a gallery, but not one made of marble and gold. This is a quieter place, a space of canvas and silence, where paintbrushes once dipped into colour, and skies, especially green ones, were captured in dreamlike strokes. Because long before high-resolution photographs, before radar and research, artists were watching the sky and wondering. And when they saw something rare, a tint just beyond language, they didn't try to name it, they painted it. Let's step softly into their world. In the Romantic period of the 18th and 19th centuries, artists often turned to the sublime, trying to capture nature not just as beauty, but as emotion. Caspar David Friedrich, for example, painted skies that weren't always realistic, but felt true. In one of his stormy seascapes, the clouds darken in hues that seem almost mossy, hints of green in the sky, just enough to stir a sense of awe, or pause. Later, in the Impressionist movement, artists like Monet and Turner played with atmospheric colour, how light and air danced at different times of day. Though green skies weren't common in their works, they understood that colour wasn't static, that shadows could carry warmth, that clouds could hold gold, and that storms could carry softness, even in their strength. In folk art from the American Midwest, where green skies are seen more often, paintings sometimes captured wide stormscapes with unusual tones. The colours weren't always true to life, but they were true to memory. A green-tinged horizon over amber wheat, a glowing cloud over a quiet barn, the hush of the land rendered not in detail, but in mood. In more contemporary art, green skies have appeared in fantasy paintings, in surrealism, in graphic novels and dream sequences. Some artists never saw one in person, but imagined them. They painted them because they felt otherworldly, liminal, like a space between realms. And in that imagined light, a new kind of beauty was born. Art allows us to capture what photography often cannot: the feeling of the storm, the weight of the air, the glow that our cameras miss but our hearts remember. So tonight, imagine yourself walking through this gallery. Each frame holds a different sky. One is a thunderstorm lit from behind, its base touched by a pale wash of green. Another is a child's watercolour, messy, bright, honest, with a tree, a swing, and a glowing emerald cloud above. One is abstract, a swirl of teal and grey and light. No form, just colour. Each painting tells the same story without ever saying a word. That the sky moves us. That the green horizon isn't just something we see. It's something we feel, remember, and long to recreate. Even if only on canvas. So rest. Now, surrounded by brushstrokes, you are safe in this gallery. The paint is dry, the storm has passed, and in the art it left behind, you find peace. Let's drift on, into colour. Welcome, gentle soul. Tonight, we don't chase the storm. We don't rise with a thundercloud. We simply wait, in the stillness before. Because sometimes, just before a storm arrives, before the wind stirs, before the sky darkens fully, a moment of silence blooms, a deep hush, as if the earth itself is listening. And it is during this hush that green skies often appear, not with flash, not with noise, but with a slow wash of colour, a muted emerald veil drifting over the horizon. Let's drift into that moment now. You might be standing outside, a few hours before dusk. The day was warm. The clouds have been growing taller, stacking softly into layers that now stretch high above. Then, without warning, the wind that had rustled trees all day stops. Leaves hang perfectly still. Birdsong ceases. Even the insects go quiet. The whole world seems to lean in, as if waiting for something unspoken. It's not fear, it's expectation, a calm awareness in the atmosphere. And that's when you notice the light has changed. The sky is no longer just grey. It holds a tint, subtle at first, then clearer, a strange, lovely green. Not vivid, not bright, more like the colour of moss in shadow, or sea glass lit from behind. This is the moment meteorologists call the pre-storm calm, often just minutes before downdrafts or rainfall begin. It's when the storm has fully formed above, but has not yet touched the surface with its voice. The towering cumulonimbus cloud holds moisture in thick, suspended layers. Sunlight from behind, often low in the sky, filters through that cloud, scattering through rain, hail, and vapour. And below, the still air waits. No turbulence, no gusts, only silence. And in that silence, green appears. The colour isn't loud, it whispers. It coats the landscape softly. You might see it reflecting off windows, pooling in puddles that haven't yet filled, resting on the bark of still trees. And then, a single breath of wind returns. A branch sways. A bird lifts from the ground. The moment has passed, but you remember it, not just because of the colour, but because of the silence it came with. Green skies often live in these pauses, not in the middle of chaos, but in the breath just before. So tonight, we rest in that space, in the moment before, where nothing needs to be done, where the air holds its breath, where time feels paused, and the sky glows in secret. It is a sacred quiet, a natural lullaby, a peace we don't always notice, but always need. Let it wrap around you now. Let the world pause. We drift, without needing to move. Tonight, dear listener, we arrive at the edge, the soft green line where sunlight ends, and rain begins. This is the last light before the rain. Not the brightest light, not the warmest, but perhaps the most beautiful. Let's imagine the scene together. A storm has been growing all afternoon. Tall, dark clouds gather in the distance. The air is thick with quiet, and the sun is slipping low behind you, casting long shadows across the land. You look up, and for a moment, the underside of the storm glows. Green, not sharp, not artificial, but real. A pale, luminous green stretched across the belly of the cloud, glowing like an old lantern behind misted glass. This moment is brief, a transition. The light behind you is already fading. The sun is nearly gone, and ahead, the rain is waiting. Meteorologists understand what's happening here. As the last rays of sunlight stream in, they pass through the thickest part of the storm, through layers of rain, hail, and vapor. Much of the red and yellow light is absorbed or scattered. But the green wavelengths, those delicate middle-toned rays, may make it through. And when they do, they color the sky in this final act of light. It's the storm's quiet overture, a glowing pause between brightness and water, a message that the sky has one last thing to say before it weeps. You might hear the first drops begin, soft, slow, spaced far apart. The leaves begin to nod. The scent of petrichor, earth touched by water, rises in the air, and above, the green begins to fade, replaced by slate grey, then silver, then the blurred hush of rain. The colour disappears, but the feeling stays. This is why storm chasers speak reverently of this light, why poets try to name it, why photographers fail to fully capture it. Because it's not just colour, it's timing, a perfect sliver of the day, where everything aligns, sun, cloud, water, silence, and then it's gone. But you saw it. You stood at the threshold, between sun and rain, between green and grey. And now, as you drift to sleep, you carry that moment with you. You can return to it any time. The last light before the rain, the sky's final breath, a lullaby written in light and tucked into cloud. Let the rain fall now, not in fear, but in comfort. The storm has arrived. The sky has said what it needed to say. And you are part of that quiet. We rest here, at the end of the colour, at the beginning of peace. The storm may sing, but tonight you sleep. And as we reach the end of our exploration, I hope this journey brought you a sense of calm and perhaps a gentle curiosity to carry into your dreams. The atmosphere is full of wonder, not just in its storms or sunlight, but in its softest, quietest, greenest corners. Even the smallest shift in sky or shadow holds meaning, if we take the time to notice. If these calming weather stories have brought you comfort, you're always welcome to like or subscribe, but only if it feels right. There's no rush, no pressure, just a soft invitation. For now, you can rest. Let your thoughts move slowly, like clouds drifting across an evening sky. No destination, no urgency, only quiet motion and gentle stillness. You've spent time with the weather, and now it's time to let it fade behind your closed eyes, like distant thunder softening into sleep. There's nothing more to do tonight, but drift. Good night. Peaceful dreams. Calm skies to you, always.